Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you for a little bit about entering data for scoliosis screenings that you have done. Scoliosis screenings can be mass added, but I know that there are nurses out there that enter this data one at a time because they're not comfortable or don't know how to mass add. So I want to show you how to do that today because it will really save you a lot of time if you will mass add these screenings instead of entering them one at a time. So the first step that you want to take if you want to mass add scoliosis screenings is click on the menu button on the upper left side, very familiar with that button. Click medical and then click scoliosis in the middle section. Now, once I've told it that I want to enter scoliosis data for my building, this is the screen that will appear. In this top prompt section, I'm going to choose the building that I want to mass add my data for, and I'm going to enter the date that the screening was done, and I'm going to choose the default location where the screening was done, and then I'm going to choose pass as the default status because most of these students are going to pass a scoliosis screening. And if they did not pass, then those few that did not pass, I can go in and change those to a fail. Now, this top section is telling eSchool what I want to be entered. The filter section is telling eSchool who to enter the information for. So you do that by saying demographic current status equals active because I only want to enter information for active students, and demographic grade equals 6th. And you're going to choose obviously 6th or 8th grade because those are the two grades that are mandated by law to do scoliosis screenings for. And if I'm doing 6th grade, I want to add a third line, which would be demographic gender equals female, because as you all already know, we only screen females in the 6th grade. Now, I'm going to load this particular list of students by pushing the load button that's up here in the upper right side, 2 arrows that look like a circle. When I click the load button, it's going to pull up the list of all students that fit that criteria of being active 6th grade girls. Now, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit here because there's only 2 6th grade girls in my training account, fake school. First one is Carol Ann Frack. There's 3 scenarios that can happen when you do a scoliosis screening on students. They can pass, they can fail, or you can not screen them because a parent refused that screening. So let's say that Carol Ann passed. In that case, I'm done with Carol Ann. She is entered as being passed. Let's say that Carol Ann failed. Right here on this screen, I can change Carol Ann to being a fail. And if Carol Ann failed, I also then need to refer her to her doctor for that failure. And I can do that referral again right from this same screen by clicking on the arrow or that triangle to the left of her name. You'll have another screen or more information that opens up, and I can enter the referral right here. And I'm going to refer her to her physician on the date that she was screened. And the follow-up code is always going to be in process on the first line. And the follow-up date is going to match the referral date. Now, at this point, I would be finished and I would save this and I would exit once I've entered the data for all of my students. But I also want you all to realize that all referrals need a second line. So at some point, you have to come back in this second line, enter what the doctor said. And we will come back in a little bit and I'll show you how to do that. So for now, I'm finished with Carol Ann and her failure. So I will minimize that added information and I'm going to go to Margaret next. And if you will remember, the third scenario that could occur is that I didn't screen somebody because their parent refused. And so I'm just going to click the little box for the trash can and it is going to delete all information for Margaret because I did not screen her. I'm going to now hit the save button and save all of the information that I just entered. And keep in mind that Carol Ann frac was referred to the doctor. And so at some point in time, you're going to have to enter a second line in the referral box for her. But for now, I'm done entering all of the BMI data for my 6th grade girls. And so I'm going to hit the save button. Now, let's say that Carol Ann now went to the doctor and her doctor sent the note back to school, or she brought the note back into you like we asked the students to do. And so I want to enter that data for Carol Ann. I'm now going to have to go into her page individually, because remember, we're using our imagination here. It's a week later, 2 weeks later, she went to the doctor and she brings you information. So I'm going to go back into Carol Ann's home page by finding Carol Ann and pulling up her individual record. Now, I'm doing this a hard way because this being a training account, normally you could just type her name in up here, but not to confuse you all, but my training account has the exact same student names in all buildings, and it becomes very difficult to figure out which building you're in this training account. So know that normally you could just type the student's name right up there. But so Carol Ann has now gone to the doctor, and she has brought me the note of what the doctor said. And so I'm going to pull up Carol Ann's page in eSchool. I'm going to go to her particular exam page for scoliosis by clicking on exams for an individual that's in the first column. And I'm going to scroll down to scoliosis, and you can see here is the mass ad that I did just a few minutes ago. On 4/1, she was screened. Now, I'm going to open up more information by clicking on that arrow there. And now I need to enter the second line in that referral box. All referral boxes need 2 lines, regardless of whether the referral is for vision, hearing, or scoliosis. So the second line is going to be physician, the date that she went to the doctor, and what the doctor said. Maybe he said it was a normal exam. He didn't see anything wrong. Maybe he said she needs some type of a treatment. Those would be the 2 choices that you could make. Maybe it's the end of the year and the parent still hasn't taken the student to the doctor, so you could pick refused referral. Or maybe it's the end of the year and they've left the district. So those are the choices that you could make for this follow-up code. But for this example, I'm going to say that the doctor is doing some type of a treatment with Carol Ann. And then again, the date in the follow-up box matches the date in the referral box. And I'm going to save that once again. Now, that's how you enter scoliosis data for your students that you have done scoliosis screenings on. I'm going to go in now to Cognos and show you some things that you can do related to Cognos, that you can do related to scoliosis in Cognos. But my training account does not have a Cognos associated with it. So I'm going to have to use a PowerPoint to show you Cognos. So I'm going to switch screens here and pull up my PowerPoint. It's going to take me a minute to switch this over. So y'all bear with me for just a second. Now, you're looking at a PowerPoint presentation, and so you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit here because the training account does not have Cognos. I can't show you a live screen of Cognos. But to get to Cognos, and if you all don't know what I'm talking about when I say Cognos, I want you to understand that Cognos is a reporting system that pulls data from eSchool. You cannot mess things up in Cognos. You can't accidentally enter or do something wrong. The only thing that you can do is maybe not get the information that you're looking for. But you start Cognos by clicking on the menu button where you see the red circle in the upper left corner. I'm having a PowerPoint technical difficulty now. And you click the icon right below the medical box, and then you click Cognos in the middle column there. So you see the red circles. Click on right below the medical tab and then Cognos. Now, when you click Cognos, you're going to have to log in again. This login screen is one that appeared that I made a screenshot of. The login boxes sometimes look different than this, but know that you're going to have to log in again. You're going to use your same credentials to log into Cognos that you use to log into eSchool. And if you have trouble getting into Cognos, call or get in touch with your ABSCAN administrator at your district. Once you've logged into Cognos, the next screen that you're going to see looks like this. This is the home page for Cognos. And you're going to then click on Student Management System on the left side there where you see the red circle. So actually click on the words Student Management System, and then you're going to click on the words Medical. And an FYI, everything that you do in Cognos as a school nurse, you're going to do those two things first. You're always going to click Student Management System and then Medical. Now, this is the screen that's going to come up when you click Medical. Here's the thing about Cognos. Cognos really does name things what they do, so it's really easy to play around in here and look at things and figure out what they do. For the purpose of scoliosis screenings, I'm going to talk about the screening section, but know that there are other things in Cognos that are very helpful to nurses, but and you're not going to hurt anything by getting in here and playing around. But if you click on screenings, which we're going to do now because we're talking about scoliosis screenings, you're going to see this screen appear. And the, again, obvious choice is to click scoliosis because that's what we're working on now. If I want to print a scoliosis screening form so that I can keep track of the students that I need to screen and who I've screened and who I haven't screened, I can do that by clicking on where the red circle is there, the scoliosis screening form by grade. Notice that you can also do a scoliosis screening form by homeroom, but for the most part, 6th and 8th graders are changing classes. You're probably not going to be screening them by a homeroom teacher. So the best choice for scoliosis forms is probably to print them by grade. So when I click scoliosis screening form by grade, the next screen that you're going to see looks like this. Now, keep in mind, this is my personal access to Cognos in the building where I have eSchool access, and it is a pre-K only. So it looks a little bit weird because of where I had to make these screenshots from. But you're going to choose your building. You're going to choose, if it's 6th graders, again, you're going to pick female because you don't want the males' names printed on the form. This populate screening date is asking you, do you want me to print a date on this form that I'm making from you? Select the grade. You're going to pick 6th grade. You're going to pick 8th grade. And then pick the date that you want printed on the form if you told it to populate with a date. And then you're going to click the finish button in the lower left column where you see the red circle. And when you click the finish button, you're going to see a screening form appear, and it's going to look very similar to this one. Again, keep in mind this one is not realistic because it's not a real school with lots of 6th graders. There's only 2 names on this form. The blue box there is covering up names because this, again, is using a real pre-K in the building where I have access to, and so I wanted to black out those names. Blue out, maybe I should say those names. But you can see what the form looks like. It has the students all listed and typed there for you. I know nurses that make Excel files so that they can keep track of these kinds of things. You can get one of these forms printed in about 30 seconds once you understand and know how to do this. It prints the second column there says exam date, so it's typing in the date that I told it to put on the form, and then the columns that are on this form say pass, fail, referral, follow-up, and comments. So this is a form that you can use, in the comment section. You can type or write in there parent refuse so that you don't accidentally screen somebody that sent a refusal letter to school. You can make any, obviously, other kind of comments that you want there, but this is a really good form to help you keep track of who you've seen and what you've done with them. And then to print this form, you would just hover around the middle part of the screen. An icon would pop up that you can hit a print button. And again, if I hover my cursor right here, again, keep in mind, this is not a live screen, so it's not working. But if I hover right in this area, a print icon will appear, and I can hit that print icon and print this report out. Now, another thing that I can do on the scoliosis screening page is I can do an error report. Many of you may have in the past gotten a call from somebody at your district level that says, hey, you've got errors for vision or errors for hearing or maybe errors for scoliosis. And they tell you, we need you to go in and fix those ASAP. I want you to know that you're able to run these error reports yourself so that you don't have to do it on their schedule. You don't have to fix the errors on their schedule. You can fix them when you have time to take care of it. So once you think you've got all your data entered, go ahead and run this error report so that you can fix anything that has been done incorrectly. And to access this error report, again, all you do is click on the words right there where that red circle is. And when you click on these words, the screen that you're going to see appear is going to look similar to this. I couldn't show you the whole screen because it's too big, but up at the top, you're going to pick the correct building, and then it says, where do you want me to look for errors? Basically, it doesn't use those words, but that's what these dates are for. When do I start looking for errors, and when do I stop looking for errors? So you want to pick this school year, go back to, the 1st of September, the end of September, at the beginning of the school year, and until today. And then I'm going to click the finish button, and it's going to give me an error report, and the error report looks like this. Now, this is an error report with no errors. What this is that top blue line says scoliosis screening with invalid screening result. So that's an error. If you had any of those errors, there would be a list of students' names listed below that banner. The next error is scoliosis screening with missing referral or missing follow-up. Then there would be a list of students there as well. So this is a blank error report that you're looking at right now. If you see something like that looks like this, you're in good shape. That means there's no errors for your building. If there are students' names listed, the banner above their names is telling you what the error is. Now, let's look at something else you can do on the scoliosis screening page. You can print the letter to send to the parent that their child needs a scoliosis screening by a doctor. And you access that letter, again, by clicking on the scoliosis screening letter. Again, things in Cognos are really named what they do. So I'm going to click on the scoliosis screening letter, and then I'm going to see a page that appears like this. Now, again, you all are going to have to use your imagination here a little bit because I'm dealing with a Cognos screen that has no students that have had scoliosis screening done that have a failure entered. But in this first box here, you'd pick the school year, pick the building, enter your name, and in a real school building, phone numbers and fax numbers should appear here, and you want to make sure that your fax number is picked correctly because it's going to print this fax number on the letter that it gives you. If your correct fax number is not there, choose other and enter the correct fax number right there. Now, assuming I have students in my building that have failed scoliosis, their names are going to appear in a box right here. And again, this is where you have to use your imagination because there are no failures for scoliosis in my pre-K. So again, names would appear in a column right here. Down at the bottom of the box, it would say select all. Or you can individually select students to print a letter for. You're probably going to always select all of those students. And again, right below the box, you can select all students. And then I'm going to click the finish button at the bottom left corner. And when I click the finish button, the letter is going to appear on my screen. I can't show you a real letter because nobody has a failure entered for scoliosis for me to show you what a real letter looks like. So when this next letter that you see is actually a BMI letter, but the scoliosis letter would appear just like this one just did. It's just not going to be this actual stuff that you see on a scoliosis letter. This again is a BMI letter because I want to show you what you need to do to print these letters that are generated. The first thing that you're going to have to do is go over here to the right side of the screen, click on this little HTML drop down and choose View in PDF format. When you do that, it's going to convert your letters to PDFs that you can then print. And to print these letters, you're going to hover around the middle of the screen again, and then click the printer icon, and it will print all of your scoliosis letters. And that ends the information that I want to share with you all today regarding scoliosis and Cognos as it relates to scoliosis. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have questions, please reach out to your ABSCAN administrator at your district level or your community health nurse in the co-op where you are located. Thank you all for your time. Oh, I got a little ahead of myself. I made one more screenshot that I forgot about. Just this again is showing you how the printer icon shows up on your screen. So again, thank you all for your time, and I hope this was helpful.